Friends of Ringo Ishikawa. Now, this is a game that has been creating quite a bit of a splash amongst at least my friends as well as online. Now, this game basically is quite nice and it reinvents the pixel art style to put you in Japan. As usual, we're going to be reviewing this game on our 4 favorite parameters: story, gameplay, innovation, and accessibility. Let's start with story. You are Ringo Ishikawa and you have a gang of 4 to 5 loyal friends. These friends go around with you and beat up other people. Basically, the plotline is that you are kind of the delinquent of school and you just get into fights with other rival gang members of other schools. It's your job to, just beat up other gang members. It's your job to maybe work out. It's your job to do well in school. It's your job to do whatever you want to, and that's where this game is really interesting. You get to choose the fate of Ringo Ishikawa. If you want to give up on your, beat him up, you don't want to beat people up anymore, you just want to study in school, work hard, you can do that. You want to completely neglect your studies and you just want to go ahead and actually just become the biggest gunda of school, you can do that. You want to forget both the gunda and the studying and you just want to make a lot of money, well, you can do that too by taking a bunch of side hustles. The entire point of this story is for you to create it, and that's what makes this game so interesting. It has open world gaming mechanics in a pixel art side scroller style, and it's really fun to explore the town. And that's why the story is a solid one, because, well, that's the story I chose, the story you chose, so it's actually quite a good story. Gameplay is basically divided across several things. If you want to study and become a good student, you can invest in literature, history, physics, chemistry, just a bunch of subjects if you want to be that person. But you can also go ahead and invest in being a better poker player, in a better pool player, in going ahead and working out at the gym. It's whatever you want. But of course, gameplay isn't only these mini games, it's also, well, the fighting, the beating up. And honestly, surprisingly, the gameplay is quite detailed and the fighting mechanics are quite intense. It's actually a lot easier in the beginning and becomes harder and harder. And that's why the game is really good, because it keeps you hooked and interested. The gameplay is quite fun when you're fighting gangs and gangs of members. And of course, it's a lot easier when you have your own gang, when you have the friends of Ringo Ishikawa. But remember, you gain lesser experience if you're fighting with your gang. However, if you're one person versus 8 people and you take all of them down, you get a lot of experience. And that's what makes this game interesting. It's always a risk reward. If you go in alone, you can also go ahead and pass out because it's very easy to lose. And when you do that, you lose many hours in the day. So you actually can't do a whole lot that you had planned because there are only select number of days and there are select hours in those days where you can actually do stuff. So the gameplay again is quite solid. Let's move on to innovation. It is really innovative because I never ever thought that the pixel art style could be recreated into this open world feeling of a game, because it gives you the illusion of the open world. There is a whole lot of areas to explore, and what's innovative about this game is that you can play it however you want to. You get to decide the fate of Ringo Ishikawa, as I said in the story. And the reason why I keep harping on innovation, why I think it's actually the best point of this game as compared to story, gameplay, and accessibility. Innovation, I'll give it full marks because it's a really good game. Not to talk about also the soundtrack. The soundtrack is beautiful. Listen to this. How calming and soothing is that soundtrack? And that's why I have to give it absolutely full marks on innovation. Finally, accessibility. Now, is this game accessible? Surprisingly, no, because it doesn't handhold you at all. You're just dropped into this world and you have to figure out everything on your own. And for those of you that are casual gamers who aren't used to, well, the pixel art style to begin with, this can be a bit putting off. You are not given any context, you're not given any idea as to what you have to do. So for example, there is a gym in town and the gym asks for 30,000 yen for you to go ahead and train in it. But many people will just leave the gym and be like, hey, who's going to pay that much money, and then never approach it again. But the trick over there is to keep approaching it till you literally, wear the gym instructor down, and then he allows you to, well, just pay $1,000 every time you go. And that's something that no one tells you have to do. It's something you have to discover on your own. And that's why I don't think the game is very accessible. But for those of you who are willing to put in the time, it still is a great game. So that was our review of the Friends of Ringo Ishikawa. It's a greatly atmospheric game and it's actually really worth a buy if you like pixel art style, you like, well, just A game that allows you to do anything, study, beat people up, play poker, stuff like that. And if just you're looking for something, just chill out after a long day of work, Ringo Ishikawa is the game.